Okay. So winning matchups for Marth. I would say, what's one of his best matchups? I feel like Pichu is one of his best matchups. Winning. I feel like slight advantage. I don't think that's a word.
You could just do like top one advantage, and then second one is, or third one is, you could do winning, advantage, then slide advantage.
I'll just put slight. Well,
Just do
yeah, I could do
advantage.
advantage and then slide advantage.
It's probably like 55-45.
Neutral. No.
What is it? What in the world is this? What's the counterplay?
But what's the counterplay? Okay. So Pichu, I feel like is winning for sure. I would say this matchups. I don't want to put numbers here because I feel like each one is different. I feel like Pichu, it's probably like 56, 40, 44 in Marth's favor. Marth wins that pretty convincingly. Like, it's really hard for Pichu to get in. Like, if Pichu gets in, he could do some combos, but they're not really going to do much damage. And by the time he's going to rack up damage on himself, which means that if a good tipper, like if you get a forward smash tipper, he's going to die. Like,
I mean,
all the
honestly,
time.
if you get a forward tilt, he's probably dead.
Yeah, I feel like he dies just way too easy.
I think it's very, very similar to the Pikachu matchup, but the Pikachu matchup is like straight garbage because he's not dealing damage to himself. He's a little bit heavier, so he lives stuff a little bit better.
I also feel like with Pikachu, he's definitely got a lot more like setups that you don't quite see on Pichu. Like, I feel like his setups are a lot more consistent than Pichu's. Mainly because he can tank hits a little bit more, and I feel like his frames might be a little bit better too.
Yeah.
So, moving on to another slightly winning. I feel like
Kirby for sure.
Kirby, I feel like is winning.
Yeah, I do. Big thing with Kirby is like, what do they do? You know, for them it's like, what's the counterplay?
I feel like it's more like 52-48. That's what I feel like. I feel like it's an advantage, but it's not like huge winning, because Kirby has a lot of offstage options. Like he really does. Just if you're offstage versus Kirby, it's just hard. It's so hard. It's really hard to play against Kirby at all. If he knows the offstage, if he's got the cheese, if he knows percents, like his up smash, Kirby is definitely a lot better than I think a lot of people give him credit for.
Oh yeah,
like he's light. That's it. If he wasn't so light, he'd be top. I think he'd be high tier. Not quite top, but he'd be high tier. If he didn't die so early. I feel like honestly would.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, I feel like kind of.
I don't think he's straight garbage, but I also don't know if he's that worthwhile.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you played Kirby for a little bit longer and got used to him, and like really understood his smash attack power, his aerial power, it's ridiculous. He can kill early. If he was heavier, really, he'd be high tier.
Maybe.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I can't say that. No.
I could say definitive.
There's no way he'd be high tier.
He would be high tier for sure. Maybe lower high tier, but he would be high tier. I do believe. Jigglypuff, I would say that shit winning as hell. Like you just win that shit. Like if you land a shield breaker, literally dies. Literally dies.
And then they also, from a forward tilt, they'll die at like 70 or 80 or whatever, depending on DI and where you are on the stage.
If you land tilt, you know, any sort of like tilt attacks at all, good tippers, it's gonna consistently rack up damage. And if you get, you know, above 60%, it's dangerous for Jigglypuff. Can't even approach really, because even with just regular hits, not even tippers, it gets you in position for them to set up a tipper. Or at least make it so that way you have to play super defensively and then have to like stay on top of the platforms if it's a platform stage, and then that gives Marth the advantage because he keeps you in the air and you can't attack him.
Yeah.
Hard
True.
winning. I feel like you could, probably 57, 43. I think Marth wins it harder than Pichu because Pichu at least has setups.
I agree.
All right, I think if we look at someone like, I'm trying to think of a heavy that would be pretty good. I think Donkey Kong is pretty winning. I feel like with Donkey Kong, if Donkey Kong, I can't even give an argument for him really.
The only thing is like his tilt outrange Marth's sword, but that's it. Like if he's not landing his tilt, he's losing, and even if he is, he's probably still losing.
Yeah, he has to do lots of up airs, and
he's got to be grabbing you like an absolute madman. Like he's got to be mashing grab.
If you can jump over his grabs and then like land a tipper and then like fall and then do a land with a falling up air and then you up tilt, land a back air. If you land a back air, he's off ledge and then he's having to recover with a side B, and then you just go out there and like hit him, or you can just stay on stage, hit a tipper. If you can space it right, he's dead for sure. Even a tilt attack off ledge, Donkey Kong probably not gonna make that back. There's almost no stage he can.
No, if he does make it back, he's in disadvantage. Then you just grab him and throw him back off.
Yeah, you don't even really have to know the matchup, and you could win against Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's a super winning matchup. Like I don't feel like it's so much so that Donkey Kong can't make it work. He can win for sure. I feel like it's more like, I would say maybe 53, 47. I feel like maybe.
Maybe.
That's what I feel. I feel like maybe even 54.
I don't know.
53.
I'm kind of feeling like the percentage, it should be pretty
high?
Quite a bit higher, really, yeah. Because, like, there's no way Jigglypuff's not, like...
I like to give more of the... I want to give more of, like, if the players are playing very optimally and they know the setups, more like thinking more on the higher ends, not just like, oh, the average DK player. Because if it's average DK player, it'd be like 70-30.
Right,
they're fucking terrible. Fucking trash. I'm just kidding. Okay. I think Donkey Kong players are usually smurfing. If they're playing Donkey Kong, at the higher GSPs, they're probably not Donkey Kong mains. They're just tired of their main winning all the time. So they suffer through Donkey Kong.
They're pirate mains deep down.
Yeah, true. Probably Pokemon trainer mains. They're like, damn, this game's a little too easy. So they go to Donkey Kong, and then they realize, shit, this is a hard game.
Yeah, for sure.
They want to suffer a little bit. If it was an average DK player, I'd say 63, probably. 63%.
We'll put it at 64 for Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, there you go. Now Cloud, I feel like advantage.
I think it might be slight advantage. It depends. Because if he's running, like really well with his down B, getting a lot of,
you can't edge guard really. You can't edge guard Marth really. If you try to edge guard Marth, if he lands the up B, and then you get off ledge a little bit, and then if Marth immediately gets up with like an up air, like he jumps and up airs, and then he gets on the stage, and then he positions himself. How are you gonna make it back? You really do have a hard time. Like if the Marth then goes for a neutral air, then it covers like all the space. You could go for your up B and like maybe hit him, but then what do? You don't even reset neutral because your up B will leave you in so much lag after hitting him that usually the Marth can run up grab or go for a down tilt. Usually go for just a lot of things.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very hard. Online though, I feel like honestly it's a disadvantage because spacing's so hard.
Maybe. I think I think that's fair for him. I do think Ganon and Falcon are advantage for Marth.
Falcon?
Yeah.
You think Falcon's an advantage?
Yeah, I do.
I think Falcon is. It depends. Like if a Falcon really has his combo down, like if you try to up B out of shield, that's KW. He just up B's you, because you're not getting out of shield. He's just up B'ing that shit.
Well, yeah, I mean,
He
that's
up-Bs it
true,
and then
but
goes for
like,
neutral air, and then what do? You're like,
well, how are you
he can
gonna,
drift back.
well, how's he gonna up be out of shield if his shield's not there?
If his shield, or if Marth's shield's not there?
Falcon's shield ain't there. Press B, lol.
Well, the Falcon is usually just going to jump a lot and get aerials.
Yeah, and when he's in
Like,
the air, you're completely safe. You just spam tilts, and what's he gonna do? He's gonna get tippered.
I hard disagree. I think Falcon's probably one of the more neutral. I really do. I mean, you could kill him pretty good, but
And then when he gets off stage, like, he's either gonna side B and you're gonna read it, or he's gonna up B and you're gonna have full advantage.
if he up-Bs, then you're going to be sitting there looking at him, and then he's going to jump up and he's going to try to neutral air, which if you expect that, then you could do something about it. You could
Yeah,
definitely
like,
kill him.
all
But
of his options
if
are...
he rolls, like if he mixes it up with rolls, and then if he just like wake ups, just gets on top of the platform, nothing, and just holds shield,
like,
then
all
you're
of
gonna
his
try to.
options are cut off by literally up tilt. Like, you up tilt and he's not able to hit you. Like, the worst that it gets is if he tries to stomp you, and even then you can just counter or still even up tilt, and he's locked out.
I mean, if he spaces it right, and then like runs in and like pressures you
Jukes
over
or
and over and
something.
over and over again, I feel like, you know, Falcon's
It's
really
at least
strong,
slight
really
advantage.
strong, really strong. I feel like Falcon's neutral. I feel like Falcon could be. I'll give you this 51%. Okay,
Sure, I'll take it.
51%. I'll give you that because tipper kills could be pretty devastating.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the whole story of Marth. But Falcon, I do feel like with his up B, if you can read it, which it is more of a readable one than most, so you can consistently edge guard. If we're talking the highest end, I feel like slight, very slight.
Yeah. Same thing with Ganon, really. Although Ganon's a little bit easier to edge guard and stuff.
I feel like Ganon is probably a slight disadvantage. Like,
Really? I don't
well,
believe that.
I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I feel like Ganon is you have advantage.
Yeah.
Not a
okay.
winning, but I feel like advantage.
Mhm.
Because the only reason I don't say he's a winning is because Ganon has quite a lot of tools to kill pretty early, and the super
Yeah.
armor on the Warlock Punch could cheese you sometimes.
True.
The 4-hit wonder.
Yeah, you hit them 4 times and they're dead.
Yeah, for real. Diddy Kong, I feel like it's a slight advantage to Marth. I feel like he kills him pretty early, but Diddy Kong
he
can
does.
zone him, and his recovery is pretty linear, so you could edge guard him sometimes. But if he gets ambiguous with it and like banana pills, it could be hard.
Yeah. One thing I like to do is honestly just read the banana peel throw and then take it for myself and use it.
Yeah.
I think that ice climbers are at least advantage.
I never really
Okay.
played against ice climbers very much.
When I play against them, it's just free. But like, I guess there could be an argument that people don't really play ice climbers.
Yeah. Advantage, I feel like maybe just because
They're
if you get
outdated.
one of them off, one of the ice climbers, is it Popo or is it Nana that you can get rid of and the other one will live?
It's Nana, the pink one.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's Nana. If you get Nana off, Popo has a really hard time trying to clutch it out.
Yeah.
Can't really do anything. And it's pretty simple to get one of them off, especially if they try to go
Yeah.
for the desync stuff. You could land the tipper
Yeah,
and like knock them off.
Well, the pink one's an AI, so it's like either just kill that one or just kill the blue one because they're light. They die at like 90 off of a tipper. And then what are they going to do to get back? Side B or up B? I mean, their options are not really huge.
Not really good. Not very good. I feel like me sword fighter, it's a slight advantage.
Yeah, I agree. Not really much to say on that one. It's just kind of true.
Yeah. It's kind of like they don't have the sword options in Marth.
Yeah.
This one, I feel like
It could go either way, I think.
I think me fighter's probably very slight advantage. It depends if they, I don't really like looking at me fighters in any sort of real limelight because they're almost always people like trying their asses off to win. Like they're really, really, really trying so hard. They pick them just to make it seem like they're memeing and stuff. They're like, haha, I'm funny, and then in reality they're really sad deep down, and they just want to like they want to make their wins feel more pride. They want to make it seem more eventful and whatnot. So whenever they win their locals, they feel a lot more proud of themselves. But in reality, they're just holding themselves back from something that they could do a lot more. I feel like there's a
True.
deep down identity crisis or something going on with them. So that's what happens with all the meat fighters.
They play a
And I
meat
mean,
their
meat
face on it.
gunners, I feel like you could do
Yeah,
neutral
projectile game.
or slight disadvantage. Honestly, it
That's
depends.
probably, I would say that that one's the most neutral of the projectile game characters. So it could go either way. I mean, like, it does depend. It's like playing a worse Samus, more or less, and I do think Samus is a pretty heavy disadvantage. Both of them, really.
Yeah, I feel like Falco's kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Falco's not really got too much. I feel like Fox though.
Up top.
Up top.
On the right.
Okay, yeah, I see him. Okay, so Fox, I feel like slight disadvantage because I feel like Fox does have a lot of good combo tools and stuff, and he can slip through the tippers a lot. It's really hard to tipper him because his whole game plan is get on top of you and just never let go.
Yeah, that's true.
And his recoveries are like really hard to deal with because he can do like straight vertical angles on the Firefox, like whenever he up Bs. And the flames can very often be deceptive because you're like, oh, I could edge guard this, and all of a sudden you get hit by the flames, and you're like, what?
Honestly, when I think about it, I'm not really sure if I can vouch for Fox in slight disadvantage because, like, yeah, he's definitely good, but it doesn't feel like a worse game than Falco. And in fact, it feels a little bit better than Falco because Falco has the hard laser. It'll hit you while you're off ledge, or he has like his what's it called, like ladder combos and stuff, where he drags you down and then keeps going. Fox doesn't really have that. I feel
He
like
does
Fox
have a
is
good neutral game though. Like you gotta give Fox that. I feel like Fox
well,
has a
his
very very
neutral
strong
game.
neutral game.
I feel like his neutral game is just neutral A while you're in the air, like neutral air. But like, that's about it.
Uh,
It's
he's got really good tilt attacks. Really good tilt attacks. His smash attacks are really fast. I feel like his side B is pretty good sometimes. Like if you mix it in, sometimes it's hard to punish as Marth. Like it's usually almost always like slightly out of tipper range, so it makes you try to go for it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna try to smash this or something, or go for a tilt attack, and then it's slightly out of range, and then he jumps in with like a neutral air, and then he like runs in and like he neutral airs you, get slightly in the air, and then he up airs you, and then he jumps, and then does like a forward air, and then you try to hit him, and if he realizes that and like baits it, he can drill you, and then he can get back on the ground, like after you land on the platform, and they up smash you, and then he could do a back air and hit you off ledge, and then you're off ledge, and then you try to recover, and then he jumps off and he like drills you, but it doesn't hard spike, but it gets you pretty close, and then you try to up B him, but he jumps back, like he jumps backwards to avoid the up B, so that way if you were to kill him, you have to up B to the left and then you die, or you can just up B back to the ledge and then he gets back on. So it's
I mean, like, I don't know. I just feel like the Fox matchup isn't that hard. It's not, the easiest match. It's probably neutral, but
I'm
like,
talking absolutes. I mean, your average Fox player, it's definitely an advantage for sure.
oh well. I mean, like, who's I don't know. I feel like it has to sort of apply to the average almost because otherwise, the
I mean,
best of
I'll
every
give you a
character.
neutral. I'll give you a neutral.
All right, I'm good with that. How do you feel about Ken and Ryu?
Grom, disadvantage.
I just agree with that. Yeah,
I don't think it's what's the counterplay because I feel like if
there's counterplay, but
there
like
is counterplay, but
you're edge
my God, he
guarding your
kills you
guy.
so fast, and then if you miss your spacing, Grom's like, lol, I don't need spacing.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll be right back. You can discuss a few more. I'm just gonna pee real fast.
All right.
Okay. So, I
So,
feel like Little Mac, slight advantage. I feel like slight advantage only because of counter cheese. I feel like his counter
yeah,
cheese is.
yeah, I definitely think there are a few characters we can just run through really quickly. I think, Ken and Ryu probably at least slight advantage, probably maybe even advantage. Same with the pits, at least neutral.
I feel like pits are kind of neutral.
Stuff like Villager, probably advantage. The worst, honestly, Villager. Villager is bad if you respect him, but if you don't respect him, he is a losing matchup straight up. Isabelle's kind of the same way. Much as I like Isabelle, um, I think that wherever Ryu and Ken are, they're pretty losing. Not for Marth. I think it's losing for them.
Yeah.
Um, stuff like K roll is manageable, but definitely hard. Maybe neutral for him.
Neutral. Interesting.
Yeah, that one's an odd one because if he's on his projectile game and if he's one of the harder characters to edge guard. He's definitely not so unmanageable, but he's difficult.
Did you
The
say
other
villager slight at disadvantage?
slight advantage for Marth.
Okay, yeah.
Probably Isabelle too. Isabelle's a little bit harder because fishing rod. Let's see. I guess I'd also say I do think that Roy is at least slight advantage for Marth because him having to space is the complete that is the game. Spacing is the game at that point, and if he's not, then you are more or less.
I feel like honestly it's pretty neutral. I feel like it's a really neutral matchup. I really
I'm
feel
fine
like
with
that, especially online because it's harder space. I feel like Roy's really good at getting it. I mean his recovery is terrible, but
Yeah.
it's pretty neutral. I feel like if the Roy player plays it right, he can close out the stocks just about as consistently as the Marth.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's neutral.
I think Inkling is probably a slight advantage for Marth. The worst they're gonna do to you is cover you in ink, but that's about it. Marth himself, of course, goes to neutral because lol 50-50 when it's the same character.
I don't know. I feel like Inkling can be neutral.
I mean, maybe
Ink,
a while ago they have kind of fallen off.
yeah, but they do have some good back air setups and whatnot. If they get you off ledge, it's really hard to recover. And I feel like the ink setups with the down B projectile, if they can space that right, if they ever get you closer to the edge, then the spike is kind of scary and you have to shield it, and then they can run up to you and then pressure you. And I feel like the grab game, if they grab you, they have really good up throws. I feel like they have an overall pretty solid. I feel like they have pretty solid options against Marth, but I don't feel like they.
I mean, they die pretty fast too.
They
A
do,
single
but
tilt at 80% is probably killing them. Or I mean, if we're
if they
talking
hard
about
DI it,
if we're talking about high level Marth gameplay anyway, there are a lot of tipper setups, so they're gonna fall into one at 40%, and then they're off stage, and then maybe they'll make it back, maybe they won't. Toss up.
it's I feel like they have really good tools, but they just never kill.
Yeah,
Inkling
maybe.
does. I feel like they have all the tools in the world, but it is hard to kill with Inkling.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Bowser Jr. That one's a slight advantage. I feel like Bowser Jr. has some weird setups that are wonky, but
Honestly,
once you get past those,
maybe even advantage for him. Because
a good tipper on an up B is devastating
yeah,
for him.
of course, yeah. Well, I mean, a tipper is going to hit him. His damage is scaled if it hits him more than it hits his car. So if it hits him, and it's basically always going to hit him, I mean, he just dies.
Right. Yeah, I feel like Bowser Jr. definitely not anything too much.
Dr. Mario can be a hard matchup, but I also think it's advantage for Marth because when he gets off stage, he doesn't really have much.
Yeah, his offstage game is not really nothing to.
You don't even have to tipper him when he's off stage. You just hit him once and he's too far away.
Also, neutral game is really hard versus Marth.
Yeah.
I feel like Ike could be. I feel like
it depends. Ike doesn't really have
slight
the
advantage.
space, but I think it's slight advantage. Yeah.
Only reason I say slight advantage is because I feel like Marth's side B kind of makes that matchup a lot more like playable. Because if you
Yeah.
side B him all the time, whenever he goes for anything, you can consistently get it off. And if you got good setups to the side B, it can even kill sometimes, especially rack up damage consistently. And the neutral air spacing, if you hit the tippers and then if you down spike, down tilt, you can get some good stuff. Down air into like setups, like if you down air him, it could be something. Or if every time he goes for the nair, if you space it right, you can avoid it and hit
Yeah,
a
for a
forward tilt.
perfect shield.
You can do some good
Um,
stuff. Bowser, I feel like, is advantage. I feel like Bowser doesn't really have anything too much. His fire is kind of oppressive sometimes, getting on ledge.
well,
It just racks up
one
so much
thing
damage.
one thing that's funny about that is that Marth's up B can cut that off because of how it hits under the stage.
Yeah, you have to do that right, though. You have to get it just right.
You definitely do, but it's manageable most of the time. They're not ledge guarding you despite, Bowser.
Right. I feel like
Um,
definitely.
how'd you
Mega
feel
Man,
about
that's just, what's the counterplay?
that
No.
one's just I don't like that one.
Side B, you got the leaves.
Same.
He shoots his projectiles. He runs up to you with a little metal plate, throws it at you, hits you, and then jumps up. Does his little
Yeah.
setups. He's got good spikes. Neutral game, you just like, what do? You just can't even approach the guy.
Same with Pac-Man. Pac-Man straight up feels unwinnable.
Pac-Man does die pretty early, but he
Mhm.
can set you up. Like you got all those crazy setups. His up B can be used to like curve around and hit you in weird
Yeah.
positions. He can keep you in the air. If he gets the key, he can throw it at you. He gets a hydrant to like spike you into the water to hit your up B and knock you away.
Yeah. He's got all the fruits. He's got many things he can do. I think the Samuses are at least disadvantaged. I think that they're doable, but it's like, why am I even playing this game?
He feels so bad when you play against him. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, and I think Sephiroth is a hard L. What's the counterplay?
I feel like it's not quite that far, but I feel like it's disadvantage.
Sephiroth is like one of the few matches where I genuinely think you should just play Lucina instead, because it's like playing the spacing game around Sephiroth is the dumbest thing I've ever tried to do in my life. I do not enjoy Sephiroth when I'm playing a sortie, because it's like, it's not undoable. Like, you definitely can win, but Sephiroth just has so much to keep you off of him
I feel like
that like if you're trying to use your brain, he's just pressing a button and that's it.
I feel like the biggest thing is if he does aerial attacks, you can shield it, and then you can, if you're close, and then you can hit him. Like you could definitely hit him. Like he's got a lot of laggy moves and stuff, but it's really hard to play against if he does projectiles and mixes it up. And if he does his up B right, he can hit you during the middle of setups and whatnot. He can poke your shield down with his, you know, his down smash. He's
Well,
got
the thing about him is that his range is like right at the point where you're not going to be able to tipper him. Like when he
yeah.
misses an attack, you better get in there and do something, because if you miss, you're going to die for it.
But you could do a lot off opening against Sephiroth because of how much damage he takes and how early he
I
can
mean,
die.
I mean, if you land a tipper on him, he's probably dying at 80%. But that's, well, that's pretty hard.
I feel like the neutral game is okay. I feel like you have to play really tight though. You really do. You have to play extremely well. But if he starts getting on you and doing a lot of stuff and gets you in his setups, then it feels like you can't really get out of it at all. Especially if you're trying to recover. I feel like Sephiroth can gatekeep you. He can keep you at ledge pretty much the whole match. Because you want to stay away from him. Like, you want to get in there, but you also want to stay away from him because if he gets you in a grab and then throws you up, and then, my God, how do you get back down?
Now you basically have to like hard commit to one direction and then still hope that he doesn't read that direction.
Yeah, because his back air has such insane reach. His forward air has insane reach. His back air is just incredible how well it just spaces. Like, you have to get a really good air dodge. And if you land on platform, uh-oh, because he can go back
Yep.
in. He can land. He can go right back in and hit you.
Yep. True. Um,
I guess
I
Daisy
think
needs to go up. I think. I feel like
Slight disadvantage.
slight disadvantage. Peach in them.
Peach.
Throwing turnip setups.
Yeah. I think Mewtwo is probably a slight advantage, maybe even full advantage. It's like the Sephiroth game if you didn't have to worry about the sword, which is so much easier. It's like actually crazy how much easier it
It
is.
extends his hurt box though, his tail. You just
Yeah,
keep hitting him all the time.
hit his tail, yeah.
Lucina, slight advantage.
I think so.
Okay,
It's funny to say that, but if you're spacing and she's not, then like you win, that's it. And the thing about Lucina is she wants to space anyway because she doesn't want you on her, so she does half of your spacing for you. It's probably
like
just a regular neutral. But
you really
like,
have to play. You have to play a very unique game. Like the Lucina kind of has to know the matchup.
Yeah, the thing with Lucina is she loves aerials, but with Marth you really do want to be on the ground more. They're a lot more different than like the nuances given for, but that's pretty much how it is.
Slight advantage. I think we put it in neutral because I feel like a lot of people.
Reasonably, it's neutral, but like I'm gonna say slight advantage.
Yeah, I
Might as well
can
go ahead
feel
and
that.
Might as well go ahead and say Marth at neutral because like 50-50. It's literally the character.
Nah, it's a losing matchup.
True.
Honestly, Toon Link I feel like is kind of neutral. Yeah, honest.
Toon Link is the easiest link to deal with.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
he has a projectile character though, and he has boomerang setups and bombs. He could throw them, but you can kill him pretty early. I feel like really the only thing you have to worry about is if he's got hook shot setups with the up B to kill you.
It's yeah, pretty much. I do
Kinda
think Link
neutral.
is full disadvantage, and then
Young
Young
Link's
Link.
disadvantage.
I think that one's easier than the Link matchup.
I don't know, man. When you play against a good Young Link, I swear it just feels like, what do I do? He just boomerang, boomerang, bomb, boomerang. He runs up, throws, he hits you. His recovery is pretty good. Like, I mean, it's not exactly the
I mean, it's
greatest, but
doable.
it's
Like with
difficult.
regular Link, I feel like he's a lot better than Young Link, at least in that matchup. But I think Young Link is more doable. I'm fine with disadvantage, but I think it is slight.
I guess so.
So
Lucario, maybe neutral.
Lucario's weird because like if you let him get to a high percent, he will body you. But like when he's at 80, he's probably dying. So please kill him, lol.
Yeah. Game & Watch, I feel like it's kind of neutral. He dies really early,
Yeah.
but he does have a lot of setups with his up air and his neutral air and his tilt attacks. He's overall just kind of a pain to deal with any character.
Yep.
But he dies early, so it's never really too bad. Especially with tippers, it's kind of changes the whole game, really. And Joker, I feel like, honestly, I think disadvantage because his counter in Arsene is just bonkers. Like his recovery is just almost edge guardable.
I do think it's a losing matchup, but not to the point of full disadvantage. Slight disadvantage resonates with me more. Like if he's getting you and stuff with his his counter and he's getting Arsene more consistently, then sure. But if he doesn't have Arsene, he's not really doing too much to you.
But that's the thing. If it's a good Joker, they're gonna get Arsene all the time.
Well, if it's a good Marth, they won't let the counters land. It's kind of a paradox there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can slide underneath you. Like, their neutral game is definitely, I feel like, better than Mars if he gets in there.
Joker's a character that makes you play an air game as Marth, which, to be fair,
not bad.
A little bit worse. Well, no, not bad, but I think Marth definitely likes the ground game. The big thing with Marth is keeping that patience, and if you can keep your patience, a lot of characters, despite being disadvantaged, are not, like, unplayable.
Yeah.
I think Sephiroth and Pac-Man are just straight unplayable.
I feel like Sephiroth does have a I don't feel like Sephiroth's quite the counterplay. What's the counterplay?
I do. I absolutely don't want to see another Sephiroth for as long as I live if I'm playing Marth. That is, I swear, that is the worst matchup in the whole game. I'm begging you, get online right now and play as Sephiroth as Marth. It is unplayable.
I don't think I'd queue up against one. I don't think people play
Oh,
Sephiroth that much.
listen. No, you're lying straight up. Okay, listen. I pick Marth, okay, and then I press the start button. One of 3 options: Sephiroth, Samus, Dark Samus. Those are the only characters, the only ones in the whole game. Maybe like on a Tuesday at like 2 o'clock in the morning, after you had something to eat, you're winding down for the day. The game's gonna go easy on you and give you a Pyra, okay? But that's about it. Those are the only 4 characters you can possibly wind up against. I swear. It's unreal. Sephiroth is straight unplayable.
I don't know about it. I don't think it's that bad.
Unplayable.
I don't think it's that bad.
I unplayable.
I don't think
Sephiroth,
so.
it's straight up nah. The
I
only
don't think
thing
so.
you can do with Sephiroth is make him hard commit to moves. And if he's not hard committing to moves, which he doesn't have to do, he can literally just walk up, start jumping, and pressing the A button. What do? What's the counterplay? Like, please tell me the counterplay. If you can tell me the counterplay, I'll start using it because I need to know.
Right, every time you see him in neutral air, try to go for a side B. Only go for 2, because if you do 2,
Neutral
then
air?
it's not hard. No, neutral B. Like, not neutral B, a side B. Just do side B. If he's trying to walk up to you, you shield.
Well, I mean, nah, that's not gonna work.
I mean, I'd give it a shot. I mean, I can hop on and I could play Sephiroth and show you.
I'd like to see it for real.
Yeah, okay. Valentina, I feel like is a slight disadvantage. I don't feel like it's a hard disadvantage just because I feel like Marth can kill her pretty consistently, especially because her up B, she can get back consistently, but she has some weird hitboxes with that, or like recovery, like, snapping is just weird sometimes and can just make her die. And her projectile game requires her to like stand still, and if you shield it, usually they're just gonna try to run up to you, then try to neutral air. And what you do is just walk away from the airplane, and then just do a neutral air, hit her, and then just poke her down. I think it's a poke game. That's the neutral, is just poking her a lot, not really like fully committing too much, because if you try to full commit against Valentina, she just kind of get out of jail free card, because she has just insane aerials, which is what makes it so hard. So you really have to play a more patient game, which if you fuck it up, I mean, you die, because she can kill you. She has really good kill options, but her smash attack is pretty laggy, but it does have a win box, so that way if you're trying to get in, it could mess up your spacing and whatnot. And also, I mean, the up bear, not the up bear, the up smash, like the beam, like that's really
It's
hard.
It's a hard matchup. It's slight disadvantage for sure.
But it ain't that bad. I think Corrin, it's a slight advantage. I feel like with Corrin, it's really hard to do basically anything. If it's male Corrin, it's 100% winning, 100% to 0, because no one's ever going to play male Corrin. If they do, they need to uninstall the game right now. I'd hope so. But I think that Corrin doesn't really have a good place in the game right now. I feel like Corrin is okay. You can win with Corrin, but I just don't think right now that Corrin has any real tools to play against any character with any real success that other characters can't do better. I feel like they have the tools that other characters have, but they're just not quite on the level. You compare Marth to Corrin. Marth looks just god tier. Just insane movement, got crazy setups, great kill options, good tippers. I mean, Corrin has the tipper, but the tipper's hard to hit because you have to get good spacing. And then, your side B, if you mess that up, the pin is just devastating because you just die. If you don't just die, but a lot of times it does end up having that happen. And unfortunately, that is a reality in this game, is that Corrin is just fucking terrible. I swear, it's just shit character. Up B, I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Like, I think that they're like a mid-tier character. I feel like they're not absurdly bad, but I just think that if you're playing Corrin, then there's just other better options. I mean, you play Lucina. I mean, my God, it just feels like a different game. You're just like, man, I can actually kill people. This is
I
awesome.
play the game now.
I can actually play the game. I mean, your up B is not as good as Corrin's. I feel like Corrin's up B is definitely a lot better for recovery, and also because it has like slight invincibility frames or whatnot. At least it feels like it. It has like a clash hitbox to like at least negate moves from spiking you or whatnot. You know, you're not gonna usually die if you up B and you're within a certain amount of frames, and it could be a good kill option. But I mean, Corrin just has no real kill options really, other than trying to poke you down consistently and work you up, and then, you know, so slow, it's just hard to get in. So I just feel like, you know, not a very good matchup.
Fair enough.
Not exactly winning, like hard winning, but it is winning.
Mm-hmm.
Mario, I feel like Mario's kind of slight advantage because
Yeah, that's
Mario has some things like cape cheese and fireballs can knock you off the stage, but like if you're losing to Mario in the neutral game, then you got some problems. I feel like because Mario does not have good neutral tools against sorties. I feel like sorties are pretty hard for Mario to deal with. I feel like it's doable, but it's just not very good. It really is.
Yeah, I agree. I'd say it's probably the closest slight disadvantage that there is. Because like if he does get in on you, he's probably dealing like 70 damage, but
you got good ladder combos.
Otherwise, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean his damage is really good, but it's just hard to kill a sortie because the sorties can just get in a lot, and even if you shield them, like Mario doesn't really have the greatest out of shield options at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's never too great. And if you get shield broken, you're dying.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you really do have to rely on very solid fundamentals, and I mean if we're talking the highest level of play, then the Marth's gonna have just as good as fundamentals, so not gonna really win that way.
Right.
I feel like Duck Hunt, I feel like is a slight advantage just because you kill them so early, and I mean you got setups with the Duck Hunt, but if you know how to get around them and can, you know, kind of separate them from the setups like the barrels and whatnot, it's really hard for Duck Hunt to get in to do much. I feel like Luigi slight disadvantage.
Yeah, I have opinions on Luigi for sure. I do think Luigi is basically the same thing as Mario. It's just that if he gets that grab,
I land one grab, I have died. I have taken 95% from a single grab.
Pretty much. That's how it
also, if he gets the misfire, whew.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Now the play is to misfire and then get the counter.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but yeah, Luigi's just hard to play against, especially because he has good movement and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pikachu.
Okay, this one, yeah, Pikachu's disadvantage. This one might be a hot take, but I think it has a slight advantage from Marth.
Only because of the up B. If his up B was not, if his up B was a lot better, like at recovering, because the Ness, if they whiff their jump or if they use it, they double jump off stage, and they have to rely on solely up B. Whew, that's rough.
They die.
You just have to get the perfect angle, just the perfect angle every time. If you don't, you could die. And if the Marth could two-frame that, then whew, it's over.
Well, he doesn't. If he just goes off stage and counters, then you die.
Yeah, but he can do on certain stages. He can up B into the stage and continuously do it, and then it's kind of hard to counter because if you go too far, then the counter could kill you.
True.
So I feel like it is maybe a slight advantage. I feel like that could be something you could argue. I feel like Olimar, I feel like a slight advantage. Olimar just kind of dies. I feel like you have to get the good Pikmin. If you don't get the good Pikmin RNG, like the purple one and whatnot, then it just makes it just almost unplayable sometimes. Like if you have like terrible Pikmin, or if you like accidentally use too many, and you were stuck without them, jeez, it's hard. Can't really do much.
One thing with Pikmin is it's not RNG, but even so, it's still not that bad.
Right.
I guess
I feel like Snake just fucking wants to counterplay. I mean, there is counterplay, but I swear I just cannot play against that. I hate it. I think Snake, I would literally play against any other character than Snake. He is by far the worst character of the game to play against, in my opinion. Hands down. If the Snake has good setups, it just feels like I'm not even playing the same game. I'm just playing the game of jump around the grenades and the setups and I mean, yeah, you could win, but it just feels like it's taxing. If you're playing a best of 5, it's just put down the controller and let him have it.
Yeah, that's fair. Once you're off stage, it's like I don't want to play this game anymore.
Yeah. And his recovery is ridiculous. He can even hit you through the stage with his up B.
Yeah,
He
true.
lives through everything. Everything. If he has good DI, I've seen him live at 140 before.
Yep, true.
Like, that shit's stupid. That's dumb.
Um,
Meta Knight, slight advantage.
yeah, that's fine. I
Wario,
feel like
slight disadvantage.
sure, yeah, that's fine. I would say Incineroar is probably slight advantage.
Yeah. I feel like Incineroar doesn't really have much. He's just kind of a furry.
Yeah, I'd say Wii Fit as well. Wii
Wii
Fit
Fit's
has some
slight
cool.
advantage? I feel like Wii Fit's kind of neutral.
I'm fine with that.
I feel like Wii
Um,
Fit with the volleyball, if he keep poking at you and kind of triggering you and try to make you go in, and then the grab setups are pretty nuts.
yeah. Honestly, Rob is one that I feel like Marth kind of has in the bag. I wouldn't say like, huge advantage, but slight for sure. Because with Rob,
I feel
I
like
don't
it's
know.
kind of neutral.
I'm fine with that.
I feel like it's
I
kind of
do,
neutral. I
I
really
do
do
think it's
because
I think it's a fun matchup. Rob has things to keep Marth out, and Marth can not simply die for existing. And that's nice.
Rob has a lot of good tools and whatnot, and the laser
Um,
beam, if he gets the laser beam charged up.
yeah, I think Shulk is slight disadvantage. Because he can just Monauto speed, and then what do you do?
Speed, smash.
No.
It's really
What do
hard
you
to play
think about
against him.
Piranha Plants?
Pot plant, that is a disadvantage.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I
I
feel like the
I I,
setups and
I think I
whatnot
agree.
I think the setups and whatnot just make it so hard to play against because product plant. I mean, yeah, your neutral is kind of on par. Like I feel like it's kind of even, like the neutral game, but the setup game, like if they touch you, they can get so much out of it, and the edge guarding is just absurdly hard against product plant because they can recover from virtually everything, as well as they can poke you before you even go at them. Like they can extend their hitbox and hit you in the air, then and hit you, and
Yeah,
then
true.
up B right back. It makes it so hard to play against, and
Mhm.
the spike just all the time. You have to worry about it, and if they get you in the air, they can just keep poking you, keep poking you. It feels like you have to just air dodge, and if you air dodge, and then they're gonna hit you with just the wrath of God, and you die. You
Yeah.
don't die, but you definitely feel like you were about to every moment. Sonic, I
Um,
feel like Sonic is slight disadvantage. I feel like offline, you could probably say neutral, but I
I think
think
it's neutral.
online, I feel like it's a slight disadvantage. I feel like you have to
Yeah, I
factor
mean,
in online right now.
you have less frames to react with. That's fine. Um, I think that Pyre's disadvantage. I think that Sora's disadvantage.
What the? Oh, yeah, you meant yeah, disadvantage for Marth. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What, you thought for a second that Martha's a winning matchup?
yeah. I was about to say I'm gonna be really upset with you.
No, 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 no. Pyra's an advantage simply for existing. Um, there's no Mithra, but like that carries with Pyra, so it's fine.
Yep.
Um, Sora, I would say disadvantage. If Sora's off stage, he's making it back, and that's as far as that goes. Um, I would say Steve is disadvantage, and I would say Yoshi is probably disadvantage, although
A slight
maybe go as far
disadvantage.
as to say, yeah, I was gonna say slight, maybe. Min Min, slight, maybe normal.
Yeah, I feel like Min Min's kind of falling off.
Yeah. Byleth, I think, is pretty neutral. Byleth has a lot to keep Marth off, and there's a lot of spacing to be done, but I do think it's neutral.
Yeah.
Um,
Honestly, hot take. I feel like slight disadvantage.
why?
Why? Because I feel like Byleth, with the greatest spacing in the world, it's hard to get in. Like neutral game is not necessarily too terrible because you can like get in there and try to pressure, but you have to get close and personal versus them. And if they get a grab, the setups off a grab for Byleth is just way better than Marth's setups for grabs, because they can throw you in the air and then they can up B you and then they go for like a spike and then they can like jump and then get like a back air tipper and that shit kills so early. And then on top of that, it's really hard to edge guard them. I mean, you can, but it's really hard to. And I feel like the spike kills, if you are off ledge, like if they really do get the spikes down just right, then they could spike you pretty consistently. It's really hard to get back on. And then the bow is just a pressure tool. Like if you get really far out and you're trying to do like the charge side, the charge neutral B to get back, and they read that, then they can just shoot the arrow, and it's like a lull. And now I'm gonna run out there, and then they can like do a RAR, like they drift backwards with the back air, and they hit you like tipper. It's super hard to get back versus Byleth, and I feel like the neutral game is definitely okay for Marth for sure, but the amount of damage in the setups that Byleth has just makes it kind of hard. I mean, you can argue neutral, but I feel like offline, you definitely would say slight disadvantage.
I'm honestly fine with either. It's not a huge thing for me.
Yeah, I feel like Robin, I mean, it's just fucking advantage.
Yeah, that's
Kill.
I agree. um,
Searsuit Samus, I feel like is neutral.
Pretty neutral. Yeah.
Pretty neutral.
I don't know. What do you think about Ridley? It might be slight advantage.
I feel like Ridley's a really big character, and Tippers are pretty consistent on him.
He's
got little,
light.
he's got his fireballs, which is kind of dumb, and sometimes just somehow just knocks you off stage, and it's really hard to work around the fireballs. You just have to, you really just have to play the game with the expectation of not going off ledge. But if you could do that, then it's a winning matchup.
I think Greninja is probably straight neutral. It feels very, very fair, just all around.
Yeah. If they go behind you, they substitute behind you, then it gets a little rough. But
it does. But I think it's pretty fair. Terry's probably neutral as well.
Yeah, I feel like Terry is pretty good.
Maybe even Kazuya, although I feel Kazuya might be slight disadvantage because he lives so easily. He lives like 170 even if you're hitting your tippers.
Maybe I feel like Kazuya, I mean, if it's a really, really good Kazuya and they actually play the game like Tekken, then they could win.
Yeah, true. I feel like both Simon and Richter are a disadvantage.
I feel like slight disadvantage. The only reason I say that is because it's harder to get holy fired if you're like at the higher levels and stuff, especially offline. Getting holy fired offline, it's kind of hard to get holy fired if you like jump over it a lot. Like if you're a full hopper, it's nothing like to say. Then it's kind of full hopping really does feel like a joke to them. Like it's funny because they just keep expecting the short hop, and if you full hop, you like jump over them, spike them.
Yeah, true.
A full hop gang.
So despite Ness's ranking, I'd say Lucas is probably a slight disadvantage, mostly because of his tether grab. Because if you miss a tipper, you're grabbed, and then you're taking so much damage.
I'm gonna say neutral, just because I feel like that'd be too much of a gap between Ness and Lucas.
That's fair.
At the bottom of neutral, though.
What do you think about Bayonetta?
Bayonetta, I mean, that's just a slight advantage. I feel like Bayonetta just does not have a recovery on most stages. Like if it's one of the stages like Kalos, it's just funny. They just can't recover.
I think Sheik is slight disadvantage. It's hard to land areas.
I think neutral. I think neutral. I do. I feel like yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I mean if a Sheik's absolutely cracked and they're gonna try to pressure you over and over, my God, they have to work 9 to 5 to get that shit. They have to work so hard for that damage. It's just, I mean, if you sit down and play Sheik, you really do wonder what am my hands doing? They don't feel right. They're burning.
Yeah, true. Pokemon Trainer probably slight disadvantage, maybe even full disadvantage, just because they have so many options.
Disadvantage, I feel like, just because if we think about the matchups, then I think Squirtle is a winning matchup for you because you can kill them early. But Ivysaur and Charizard makes it pretty hard because they have just really good tools. Recovery.
True.
DDD, I feel like is neutral. I feel like you could kill him, or if he gets good smash attacks, it's pretty hard to like. Let's see. I don't even know how to order these really, but
wait, I don't have to worry about it. Rosalina. Honestly, Rosalina is such a rare matchup that I don't know.
Kind of neutral. I feel like Rosalina's kind of neutral. I feel like if they use Luna to tank the tippers, then they could do some craziness. Like they could use Luna to tank it and then jump in with their floaty up airs and like boom, 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 and keep hitting you. But they don't ever kill. Like, it just feels like it's hard to kill the Luna as Rosalina and Luna, especially if you lose Luna from tanking a tipper. But Wolf, I feel like is slight disadvantage.
Sure.
Only reason I say that is I feel like with Wolf, it's not a very hard matchup. I feel like it's a matchup that's pretty easy to understand, but a good Wolf does so much damage, kills so early.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, like
really hard.
compared to Fox and Falco, I think Wolf is just a lot better. I think he's got stuff that really does hurt.
Yeah, his laser is a hard hitting laser, like hits you and can knock you out of your recovery.
Yeah.
Also,
Zelda,
his shine too, it does damage. Like it, you know, it's
good.
a pretty good tool.
Yeah, I think
Zelda
is probably a slight disadvantage. Maybe neutral.
I feel like it's hard to say disadvantage. The biggest thing is her side B setup doesn't really work on the higher levels of play, and I feel like it's one of her big strengths. Is her side B, like where she like pulls out the knight and hits. Yeah, I feel like that just doesn't really work against higher level people.
B, but
yeah, or whatever.
Either way.
I mean, 80 characters. I'll have to remember every input.
Yeah, true.
Hero. That's just
slight disadvantage.
Slight disadvantage. I feel like if he doesn't get good RNG, then neutral.
Yeah.
But honestly, even maybe slight advantage if it's like if he's just getting fucked. Like if he's if he getting like if he messes up, like if he just picks a bad option and wastes mana, he's not gonna be able to recover very well, and he won't be able to use his tools. So he just has to rely on his move set, which is good damage, but there's not really any good setups or anything off of it without mana. So I feel like a slight disadvantage though, because if he gets good RNG, that shit's just what's the counterplay? He gets perfect RNG. And Banjo-Kazooie, slight disadvantage.
Yep, true.
Because I feel like the grenades, the projectiles, the side B is just dumb. You go to Edgeguard him sometimes, he's like, woo! And then it just hits you. And you're like, fuck.
True.
Bird go burr.
Bird go burr.
It really does feel like that sometimes. He smacks you with that bird, and you're just like, my god, how did that hit so far? It's like a bigger range than my sword.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck is this? I think this is pretty well rounded. I mean, I could change the orders. I feel like what would be more suited, but I think it's fine as it is. I feel like right here is pretty good. I mean, it's not.
It's not perfect, but it's good.
It's good. I feel like this is pretty nice overall. I mean, maybe not exactly perfect, but I feel like it's hard to say exactly what is what. I don't like looking at just results because I feel like it's what literally everybody does. They look at the results and they don't actually try to think for themselves. I'd rather listen to everybody else, so I'm glad to try and make my own because I feel like
think for yourself, because that's important.
Yeah. Damn it! Why is this not getting the pixel right? This is fine. Nah, I'll get it better. Right here. Why is it not getting it? Fuck it. We'll go over a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Alright. That'll wrap it up. I think that overall Marth's a very good character, and I feel like that people are undervaluing how good he is. I don't know why they think that he needs to be 2 whole tiers below. Like in this one. Like this, is this the offline tier list as well? Wow. When we're talking offline, then it really does skew more. Lucina definitely doesn't need to be there. It needs to be like A. I don't know why there's 2 A tiers. I mean, they didn't do that with anyone else. I mean, they even had to go as far to make it E tier, and Ganondorf does not need to be there at all. People undervaluing it, but it's a Marth tier list, so matchup tier list. So I feel like, you know, it is what it is.